Hey everybody, it's Harry from Slap Your Daddy BBQ, the YouTube channel that teaches you how to master barbecue so you can spread barbecue love. You guys know I've been trying to cook a select brisket to my satisfaction, and I have tried many times, but I don't seem to be able to replicate what the folks at Snow's Barbecue in Lexington, Texas, with Clay, Kerry, and Tootsie. They can turn a select brisket into something magical. Well, I'm at Walmart again to try again, and I think I have the winning recipe this time. I've got 10 different special steps I've lined up, including something called a bloom brine that I'm going to use to create a wonderful select grade brisket. Maybe it's going to be my best perfect Texas select grade brisket. I've tried many times unsuccessfully to create a championship result using select briskets. I'm so inspired by Snow's Barbecue with Tootsie, Clay, and Kerry. I wanted to introduce you guys a technique that I know works, which is sort of what we call a bloom brine. A room temperature bloom brine is kind of something that you do when you can keep the temperature environment under control. This is not allowed in a restaurant setting, but heck, I'm at home and I want to create the best select grade brisket. So we're going to do a 4-hour room temperature bloom to let the brine set. After that, we're going to move the brisket in the refrigerator and let it rest overnight for 8 hours to really let the flavors settle and let the meat kind of get nice and soft. Then we're going to throw it into a pit. I'm going to do a low cook first, and I'm going to cook it at low temperature around 210. Which is just a little under the boiling point of water at 212. We're going to let that rub and that protein fuse it slowly in a Maillard reaction to get maximum flavor from the thousands of new flavor compounds that will form on the surface of the meat. Then we're going to go ahead and then bump the temperature up once the crust has set after about 4 hours. I'm going to go to 275, which I think is the right temperature to kind of stiffen up and tighten up the crust. And we're going to run it about 2-3 hours until the crust is fully 100% set, as measured by the scratch test that I showed you guys previously. Then, of course, we're going to do a water spritz whenever the brisket looks dry, and keep spritzing every half hour, whichever comes first. We're going to do our tallow mop. Now, I'm going to apply the tallow at a very crucial point. I'm not going to put it in early because I don't want the oil on the tallow to seal the pores. I really want the pores to be open to absorb smoke from the longest temperature gradient from about, say, 40 degrees, 38 degrees from the refrigerator. I'm going to try to get it around probably like 150-ish or so. And then towards the end, just before I wrap, temperature is going to be between, say, 152 to, say, 162. I'm going to basically apply my tallow to basically let it soak in more oil and more smoke. Then we're going to do our standard customary tallow paper wrap, and then we're going to toss it in the BTU place. I'm going to throw it in the oven, cook it until it's nice and tender. And with the bamboo skewer, like I've shown you in my 50 other how to cook brisket videos, then we're going to remove it. Then we're going to go through a long rest period. I'm going to rest it for 8+ hours at around 140 degrees, and then let it sit and get happy and settle and let all that collagen and all the muscle fibers kind of tenderize into gelatin. And then after that, before we serve, we're going to mop it again and serve. So with these 10 steps, I'm going to unlock the secrets of cooking a Texas brisket to perfection. As you have seen in many of my other 50 videos, my regular Texas S&P is 1 part kosher salt, 1 part of 16 mesh black pepper, plus an extra little bit of pepper. We have a little bit of celery seed for flavor and the nitrites and the smoke ring, and a little bit of white pepper. Now, some of you told me that you guys don't like celery seed flavor, so don't put so much. You can put 1 teaspoon. I find about 1 tablespoon is about right because it gives a nice flavor without overpowering the rub. So here's my pepper, about maybe 60% pepper, kosher salt, 40%, celery seed, and white pepper, and our Texas rub is ready to go. It's going to create great flavor, great bark on your briskets. Thanks to the nice folks at Delstrong, I'm going to use one of their special nitride Delta Force barong knives here. I'm going to run a little sharpener through it. This is a rapid steel, which I love. And this Walmart brisket is a lower grade one. as I've told you guys many times, there's about 7-8 grades of beef. The ones that you see always is prime, choice, and select. And there's actually 5 grades below that. Brisket trim, let's put a bit of schmear. You can use some Worcestershire, water, apple juice, water and vinegar. I'll just use some mustard here. Start the bottom side first. Get a nice layer of rub on. And how much you want to put? I put a lot, much more than what you imagine. So I put it until the rub becomes opaque. I pat it down. And I repeat. With the same muscle memory as before. 2 layers, okay, until it's completely opaque. And continuing on the rest, brisket. But a lot of brisket can take it. It can cook a long time. Salt penetrate. Alright, we're gonna let it sit on the counter. We're gonna cover it lightly so the flies don't get it. And let it sit for about 4 hours. I know you guys are dying to know what the temperature is in the 4-hour bloom brine on the countertop. So guess what? Do you guys a favor? I'm gonna hook it up. So we're starting at around 38 degrees, which is about the refrigerator temperature. We're gonna let it run for 4 hours. I'm gonna set my timer, and timer is running now to 4 hours, and we're gonna put it overnight in the refrigerator after that. So we're food safe. I'm just gonna cover it loosely with foil. Alright, after about 4 hours, the brisket's at 51 degrees. Let's go ahead and put it in the refrigerator now. Alright, we're trying to cook at low temperature, about 210, 220-ish or so. Brisket is looking really good, crusting it up nicely. You want to keep spraying it every 30 minutes or whenever the meat looks dry, whichever is first. Once we finish spraying, I'm going to mop some tallow on it. We are now at about the 3.5-4 hour mark. We're going to bump it to 275, a little bit hotter so we can crust it better. I just like the 225, 210 to kind of get the salt to set properly, get the crust going, and then we're going to blast it with a little bit of a higher heat to get it to a point where we can get ready to wrap. We are at hour number 4 and we're at 275 now. Brisket is coming along nicely. Now we are ready to apply a little bit of a tallow wrap here. We're ready to apply a little bit of a tallow mop. Now the crust is almost set. Let's go ahead and add some tallow now. And you want to do this once the crust has set a little bit, because if not, your rub will fall off. You don't want that. After about 7 hours, we have a nice crust. Let's go ahead and do a tallow wrap. Brisket has cooled down, and I'm going to go ahead and baste it with more tallow. Again, we did it during cooking. We did it during the wrap. And we're going to do it after we're done. We're going to do one more last time before we serve. So we're going to let it rest for a few hours, get all happy. My oven only does 170, but 140 is about ideal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat and turn it off and on to keep around 140 to 150 degrees for the next few hours. We'll let it rest before we slice it for some brisket perfection. So after about 30 hours, my select brisket is ready for the big reveal. So that's what 8-hour rest now. So I'm going to be more tallow and jus. Got my Del Strong knife here. If you want these knives, the link is in the video description. All right, does it pass the jiggle test? Definitely passes the jiggle test. Let me cut this part off first, which is the point. And I'll show you guys how juicy this thing is. So you can see how tender this puppy is, and look at the size of the smoke ring here. Okay, you see that? hope you can see the how juicy this brisket is. Look at that. All right, the fatty looks really, really good. Beautiful accordion pull. Let me show you guys how as a KCBS judge, you judge your tenderness of brisket. Standard routine is 1/8 of an inch of fat at the bottom. You may trim it off if you like. So nice bend. Let me do accordion pull and absolutely perfect pull. So the tenderness is a KCBS scale 9. This muscle is also pretty good. Pull the burn end. Also beautifully soft and tender and super oily and moist. First, let me taste the point first. Wow, that is freaking good. Flat muscle. So, all right, so verdict, drum roll please. This is the best select grade brisket Harry Soo has ever cooked. This is my 7th attempt to cook a select brisket. It was a little bit elaborate, lots of processes, took me 30 hours. But you know me, right? I'm relentless. I will not give up. I will attack a problem until I find a solution. I found a solution. I think that the 4-hour room temperature bloom blind was very helpful. The overnight in the refrigerator was helpful. And then the cooking using a 2-stage cook, 225, first 4 or 5 hours, followed by another 3-4 hours at 275 to kind of really set the crust, render the collagen, doing the tallow mop during the cook, during the tallow wrap, during the wrap phase, giving it BTU, and then after that, letting it rest for another 8 hours. So long process, but I'm really happy with the result. I would give this as equal grade to any choice or high choice or prime brisket that I've cooked. So mission accomplished. Finally, 7 times trying to nail the recipe. So now I gotta go contact my buddy Clay Cowhill from Snow's BBQ. See if Kerry and Tootsie will allow me to maybe go hang out with them to see how my recipe compares to theirs. I suspect their recipe is a lot simpler than mine. It took me 30 hours to make this wonderful brisket. They are able to crank it out overnight. All right, I have the flat and then the point here, fatty and lean for Mr. Beans. You ready, Mr. Beans? Okay, he's going for the brisket here. Eating down the point, scarfing it down. Enjoying it. So while Beans is finishing up, thank you guys for stopping by. Thanks to my Patreons for helping me run this channel so that we can offer free content on YouTube. You guys get behind the scenes, extra bonus clips, one-on-one Zoom session and classes and phone support with Patreon. So go check out Patreon when you guys have a chance, and we'll see you guys in the next video.